Hello, and welcome to this short podcast from Azure, where we're going to explore why agility is about much more than efficiency, though of course that's important too. The agility in business story began back in 2001 at a ski resort in America. People from the tech industry had gathered to talk about how they could create products faster and get them to market quicker. As a result of that meeting and others, the Agile Manifesto for Software Development was born, as well as a new language and methodologies. Some of the things in that language were around scrums and sprints and daily stand-ups and minimal viable product, incremental development, retrospectives and backlogs, to name a few. There were some new roles in the organisation lexicon too, sprints and scrum masters being the standouts. What was really surprising though from those meetings was that agility is really all about people and about creating the right conditions in which they can be their best, do their best work and flourish. Today, agile practices are at the heart of software development. Products are produced faster with teams moving at speed and releasing products as soon as there is something of benefit to the user, and then continuing to build on it as feedback comes back. What it means is that products are getting to market fast and they're getting there before they're obsolete. This incremental approach of release, refine and re-release is a much more cost-effective and safer way of developing a product. You probably recall Apple doing it with their first iPhone. Though it wasn't perfect, it built up a lot of early adopters who were very keen on the product, and then subsequently we've had lots of different versions, all of which building on and bettering the previous one. So what does this mean for the mainstream? Well, for many years, employee engagement's been something of a holy grail for business because of the positive impact it makes on individual and organisation performance, and agility is starting to get similar status. This research from 2017 shows that average performance gains of 10% are possible where agile working is adopted, and in some cases up to 20% improvement. That's a big difference maker. It's not surprising then that boards are paying more attention to this, and particularly finance chiefs, in that search for getting more from less, pushing productivity up and increasing efficiency. And while these are important, we're risking a narrow focus, which reaps short-term benefit but leads to failure over the longer term. This idea of efficiency first or at all costs is a mindset that has much the same effect as a taskmaster style of leadership. So it drives people to performance heights over short periods, but risks disengagement and burnout if it prevails over the longer term. So we need to be thinking about more than efficiency and concentrating on the value of more agile working for the people involved. Agility removes bureaucracy and it brings freedom and empowerment, releasing people to do their best work. And it creates diverse teams where people are exposed to different thinking and skills. Why does agility matter? Well, we're facing a new reality. Business educator Eddie Obeng perhaps sums it up best when he talks about how we are responding to a world that no longer exists. His point is that we're in a world where our established ways of responding, based on previous experience, work less and less well. Increasingly, we'll encounter situations we haven't faced before, so the unexpected cropping up is a feature of the workplace. Emotional resilience, maturity and confidence are needed to face this uncertainty and keep pushing forward, sensing each next step and making micro adjustments as we move forward. The workplace is increasingly complex, and especially when we consider that actions we take in one part of the organisation may have unintended consequences in another, or even beyond the organisation's borders. So we need to be thinking about more than what's in front of us. Seeing our organisation as a system within a wider system can help us think through the challenges without paralysis setting in. Developing our agility can help us in this emerging world. The capabilities that will serve us well start with our openness to learning. As unpredictable as the future is, one thing on which experts agree is that we'll need to commit to lifelong learning, perhaps retraining or reinventing ourselves multiple times and pursuing multiple different careers over the course of our lives. So how do we learn for this new world? We need to actively put ourselves into new and unfamiliar situations and be prepared to challenge the status quo. Though there's risk involved in this, by taking on assignments where there's no guarantee of success, we'll learn more about ourselves, about how we cope with stress and working with ambiguity and uncertainty, and about our ingenuity. And we can amplify our learning, confidence and self-trust by seeking the feedback of others and then taking time to reflect and to work with what we are given. Equally important, how we build relationships, how we communicate and collaborate. In uncertain conditions, being able to make people feel psychologically and emotionally safe is really important if we want them to perform at their best and stay open to exploring, rather than being fearful of or inhibited by what might be round the next corner. By creating this sense of safety, we can release people to commit wholeheartedly to the challenge, and in turn this releases higher levels of creativity and engagement, self-management, effectiveness and satisfaction. So what does Agile look like in practice? These brief case studies show Agile working brings more fulfilling work as well as efficiency. Buurtzorg is a Dutch healthcare provider that's changed the face of community nursing. Its model is starting to be adopted across Europe and in the UK by the NHS. The business started in 2007 with a team of 4 nurses and a mission to strip out the bureaucracy that got in the way of working with patients. Today it's got 14,000 nurses and care workers, organised into self-managing teams of no more than 12 people. They're supported by a central admin team of around 50, 18 coaches and no managers. The self-managing teams take care of the entire healthcare process, including planning work and recruiting new people. Nurses talk of feeling liberated to provide the best possible healthcare. Patient and employee satisfaction are high, with low absenteeism. The head office exists simply to handle bureaucracy that would get in the way of care, while coaches help teams handle problems they can't resolve for themselves, such as conflicts. And as for efficiency, Buurtzorg's overheads are said to be 1/3 and the costs of care lower than those of any other Dutch provider. Yet their nurses spend more time with patients. Clothing retailer River Island was already using Agile working in IT, but then took the step of applying this in HR. The HR and L&D team took to doing work in 2-week sprints, with a review after each week to understand what was working and what wasn't. Part of the practice was a daily stand-up meeting, with team members in different locations joining by Skype. The benefits speak for themselves. Project delivery is much faster and with improved quality. Silo working has been replaced by genuine cross-functional collaboration. The daily stand-ups created better team dynamics and stronger bonds, and the wider business has clear evidence that Agile works beyond IT. Subsequently, the Agile approach has been adopted for store openings, with some branches opening days earlier than scheduled. Dutch Bank ING's development of more Agile ways of working was driven by changing customer needs and wanting a seamless journey with their bank, so they may go into a branch for advice and then buy the product online. The move to Agile began in 2015 and saw the bank creating multidisciplinary teams working in the same location so that handovers became seamless for the customer. Everyone at head office was asked to reapply for roles in the redesigned organisation. 40% of the 2,500 people are in different roles to previously. All of them have a mindset that allows them to embrace the Agile way of working. And interestingly, age or length of service weren't differentiators around mindset. Some of those who could have been considered the old guard actually embraced Agile faster than younger and newer people. New ways of doing things as part of the change include peer-to-peer hiring adopted at every level of the organisation, even by the CEO, whose 14 direct reports were chosen by his colleagues. New recruits spend 3 weeks in different areas of the business, including a week on phones with customers, and this enables greater understanding of the customer journey and gives people the opportunity to develop their informal networks. We can learn a lot from ING about what it means to lead an Agile organisation and the important levers of culture. ING's senior leaders talk about a number of things they've learned from the experience, being clear why we're developing an Agile organisation, the need to get people with the right mindset, the need to focus on developing self-managing teams, and the fact that the leadership team must be all in, so fully committed and clear about what they're willing to give up. And for ING, that was about giving up traditional hierarchy, giving up formal meetings, stopping over-engineering things, giving up detailed planning and an excessive focus on steering inputs. So would the finance chiefs be satisfied with ING's transformation? Well, likely yes. The objectives for the change were to be quicker to market, increase employee engagement, and improve customer experience. 15 months on from its introduction, returns from the change were said to include doing software releases on a 2 to 3 week basis, rather than 5 or 6 times a year, so this was faster to market. And customer satisfaction and employee engagement scores had both risen by multiple points. In the end, what all these case studies show is that agility brings benefits across the board. Yes, greater efficiency and effectiveness, but more important, a more satisfying experience of work that leads to higher performance.